It's the size that counts, right? For watches, obviously. There's a reason I list dimensions of watches in every video, and there's a reason I also mention the circumference of my wrist. It's just over 7 inches around. In this modern world, you're likely to see a watch in photos or videos first. You don't immediately know how it's going to wear on your wrist. That makes it really hard to judge how it's going to feel and look on you. Back before the internet ruined everything, shoppers first saw and felt watches at the same time, in buildings that old-timers refer to as stores. You could actually go in, put a watch on your wrist, and maybe walk out with a watch, and some new pathogens too. These days, modern watch buyers have to judge a potential purchase with photos, videos, and hopefully a list of dimensions. I do this on a daily basis, and there are a few things I've learned from this unscientific and obsessive behavior. Things about deciding if a watch is right for your wrist. 3 things actually. 1. Dimensions aren't the whole story. 2. Comfort over size. 3. Know your specs. Number 1. Dimensions aren't the whole story. In the beginning was the diameter, and the diameter was good. And it's still probably the first and most important dimension to know about a watch, but it's only the beginning. Then came thickness. How far from the back of the watch to the extremity of its front, usually the bezel or the crystal. This is the door jamb dimension. The thicker the watch, the higher it sits, the more likely I am to wreck it on a door jamb, a door handle, a brick retaining wall, or a child. I've done it before and I'll do it again. Then watch nerds started getting clever and started looking at length. Some people call it lug to lug, some people call it height. How far from the South Pole to the North Pole? This is the overhang dimension. Will this watch exceed the edges of my wrist? And along with thickness, this can tell you if a watch will slip under a shirt cuff. So let's put diameter, thickness, and length into practice with a couple watches. Let's compare the biggest watch I own, this Omega Ploprof, to a watch I will never own, a 36mm Rolex Day-Date in platinum. Why these two? You might have already guessed why. Using our 3 dimensions, the Ploprof is a comical 55mm across, and it's 18.5mm thick, a testament to engineering hubris. And between the diameter and the thickness, most people have dismissed this watch as unwearable. But the Ploprof is only 48mm long in this direction. That's about the same as many watches that are 40mm in diameter. The 36mm Platinum Day-Date is shorter in length, much thinner, and way smaller from side to side. But there's another measurement that people don't seem to appreciate enough: the weight. This titanium Ploprof weighs 170 grams on the bracelet. The Platinum Day-Date, 225 grams. 36mm and 225 grams. Wake up, sheeple. The weight of a watch is a vital measurement. When it comes to wearability, I propose that weight is more important than diameter, thickness, or length. If a watch is light, it can be worn loosely with comfort. And if it can be worn loosely, there's much more room for your wrist to expand and contract throughout the day. That's one of the reasons I love my 2004 Rolex Explorer so much. At 100 grams, I can wear it loose when I'm cold. The watch flops around on my wrist, but it's light and it doesn't dig into the back of my hand or feel unbalanced. Balance is an important part of weight. A 200-gram watch with a third of its weight in the bracelet is gonna feel better than a 200-gram watch with nearly all of its weight in its head. So ask watch reviewers and watch brands to list the weight of watches on websites and in videos. Consider this a call for a grassroots movement. We want the weight. After all, we've got plenty of weight lists. Am I right? Number 2. Comfort over size. Like I said, weight plays a hefty role in the comfort of a watch. More than size in my opinion. But it's not just weight that affects comfort. There are many factors, like is the clasp thick? Does the bracelet have sharp edges? Or even does the metal feel good on your skin? In my review of the titanium Tudor Pelagos, I mentioned that Tudor's titanium feels sticky on my skin. It just wasn't right for me. I learned that. Unfortunately, these are things you can only learn by trying watches on your wrist. Apparently Instagram and YouTube can't do everything. Yet. But there's another kind of comfort that isn't physical. What kind of look are you comfortable with? I'm a freak. I love my itty bitty 35 and 36mm watches, and I also love my big beefy boys. I have a broad comfort zone, most people don't. You need to find yours. How do you dress? What do you want to project to the world? What are you trying to say with your style? And unfortunately, are you okay if some internet troll says, "Do they make that in adult sizes, bro?" Or, "Looks like someone strapped a dinner plate to a chopstick." If you're comfortable, this shit won't bother you. It doesn't bother me. Nope, not at all. I'm fine. Just don't look at me. Don't look. And number 3, know your specs. I don't mean know the specifications of lots of watches, I mean know what's right for you. This takes time and experience. Keep in mind what dimensions, materials, weight, and style works for you. Maybe even keep a list. For example, I know that I want a watch between 80 grams and 200 grams. If it's round, it should be at least 36 millimeters, and I don't like anything more than 55 millimeters long from lug to lug. These are your measurements, and they might also include details like whether you're okay with a scratch-prone polished surface, what you need in a bracelet, or how much water resistance you think you need. Hint, it's probably not much more than 100 meters. So then when a new watch catches your eye on the internet, you'll know immediately that it would be perfect for you if only you had an extra 60 grand lying around. Watch collecting. Breaking hearts since 1868. So to review the 3 points. Dimensions aren't the whole story. Weight might be even more important. Let's make it a standard number just like diameter. Comfort over size. How a watch feels on you is all that matters. Feels physically and emotionally. This is an emotional hobby. Find your stylistic comfort zone and then grow it. Number 3, know your specs. Have in mind the weights, sizes, materials, and yeah, the budget you can play with. This will take time and this will change as you change. So is it the size that counts? Not really. There's heft and style and how you use it. The watch, I'm still talking about watches. We're lucky to live in a time when we can learn about new brands and new timepieces from the comfort of our own porcelain thrones, but it's not without a cost. We can see watches all day long and have no idea if they'd work on our wrists. So hopefully now you have a little more guidance on how to make that judgment. Because if there's one thing we all love doing, it's judging.